Back, everybody. If you were just tuning in for the Fort Walton Beach referendum live, we have moved northeast to Valparaiso, where there is a three-way race for the mayoral seat over here in the Vale of Paradise. Commissioner Chris Wasdin is going up against former Commissioner Joe Morgan and candidate Patrick Palmer. So we're going to talk to Commissioner Wasdin today. Ask her a bunch of questions about the city, and we're going to ask your questions as well. So make sure to drop them in the chat, and we will get to them as we get there. But first things first, Commissioner Wasdin, can you kind of give us a little bit of a background about yourself?
Well, hello. I have been a commissioner for Valparaiso for 10 years now. I was elected first in 2016. Before that, I was in the Air Force for 25 years. My field is financial management. And I like to say my paying job, I still work for the Air Force as a civilian.
Okay, very good. And so I guess we'll just drop right into these questions. I think the first one that may be kind of on a lot of different people's minds right now is taking place in the Florida legislature. They're talking a lot about getting rid of property taxes. And of course, Valparaiso is very much a bedroom community. It has a lot of homesteaded property. So this would be a significant effect to the city of Valparaiso. If something like this happens, how do you look into balancing the budget that it's, the city of Valparaiso has to work with?
Well, it's a big hit. Somebody in the city chain did an analysis, and they think that's about $2 million for ValP, which is about a quarter of our budget. That's a lot. We would definitely have to take a look at what we spend money on. A lot of our money goes into people and insurance, the benefits for people. And then usually we have to scrub the operating budgets and come up with some solutions. But my idea is that we shouldn't be so reliant on taxpayer dollars anyways. We need to work out and get some more grants. There's a lot of sources in Florida for grants and federal grants, and we just haven't pursued them strongly enough. So we can start doing that.
I was going to save this question for last, but I think since you kind of brought it up, it's a good segue. If I recall, and maybe I'm incorrect, but you've been an advocate in the past for bringing in a city manager. Am I saying the wrong thing? Is that incorrect?
It's like a super city administrator. If we want a city manager, we have to do a whole referendum and change our government.
So that was my question: would you ever be in favor of something like that?
I would, because you need someone who's going to follow up on the issues. And as I mentioned, I have a paying job, so I would put a lot of time into being mayor. But it's definitely, I'm not in the city all day, every day. So a city manager would relieve some of that burden.
Very good. Looking into, I guess the next. I guess this is really just more taxation, but Valparaiso has a millage rate of 5.65, which I believe is the second highest in the county. I guess Crestview is the highest, if memory serves me. Niceville's next door is 4 mills. What, if anything, changes with taxes when you're the mayor?
Well, we kept taxes the same for about 8 years. We only raised them 2 years ago when we had a fire department issue, when Niceville came to us with a little bit bigger bill than we anticipated. So we had to stand up a whole new fire department. So that year we raised them. But other than that, we haven't raised them. And you have to keep in mind that Niceville's got a lot more businesses, so they're getting a lot more business tax to pay their bills. Whereas, as you mentioned before, ValP is kind of a bedroom community, so we are more reliant on property tax.
Speaking of the fire department, there's been a lot of stuff at the city, for lack of a better term, with the fire department specifically. You started with one kind of as I believe it was a contract sort of situation where he was the chief, but he wasn't a full employee of the city. And then he moved to a city employee, and there was several controversies with him. Is is it a good idea to continue to have the city's fire department, especially when it's costing, $1.1 million? Do you feel like you're getting your bang for your buck with the department?
Uh, well, it's good for the citizens. We need fire department for our insurance, right?
Hmm.
So first off, and even when Mr. Mayville was running the Valp Fire Department, he was running it as a volunteer department, and he was a contract employee. And so even he, in his span, realized we need a fire department close to this end of town. But as for Valp getting its own fire department, I think that is the way ahead. It's cheaper than paying Niceville, and we are a city, and that's part of our city responsibilities. Um, we will continue to source the fund for that. I think that's important.
And so you said it was cheaper than paying Niceville. Can you kind of cost compare for me what you believe the city of Niceville costs versus what the city of Valparaiso costs to have its own fire department?
Well, now keep in mind, I'm not the fire commissioner, so
Sure.
I only know the surface facts on this that have come out at the commission meetings. But when Niceville first came to us 2 years ago, they wanted $1.8 million. That's a lot. Our operating budget was somewhere around the order of 900,000. So it's a big difference. And we're already going to have to tackle those other issues we already talked about. We can't afford to pay Niceville $2 million. So then there were some negotiations, and it came down, but it was still more than just operating it ourselves.
And so let's see. I missed anything? No. The fire department, of course, is been in place for a year. How would you grade its performance thus far?
Well, I think the when they set it up, they hired a bunch of employees, and those guys are doing great. They're really great. We've had trouble with the chief position, as you've mentioned, and I think we've been working on some. I don't know how they've been putting the advertisement out for the chief, but I do think we need to put it out, on regular job boards, Indeed and citymeeting.com or whatever, those regular job boards, not just word of mouth. And I think that will get us some more people.
You are a finance person, so I think you're a really good person to answer this question. But according to the budget documents for this fiscal year, Valparaiso has about $320,000 in savings, and then I think it has another $220,000 in cash carry forward. General fund expenses for this year are budgeted for about $5.44 million, and so even with that cash carry forward, the city has about 1.2 months, as I understand it, of operating expenses in the bank. I guess my question is, how does this happen, and what is the plan if Valparaiso experiences a natural disaster or some other calamity? What happens if there's a large unforeseen expense?
So our policy is to start the year off with 3 months of reserve. 3 months. So should a natural disaster occur and everything shuts down, we can operate for 3 months without any other assistance. After that, we have to start, doing all the FEMA things and all the other kind of recovery procedures. So as far as the budget goes, this year just recently we had that fire department building that needed to be repaired. So that's probably where the big hit on our current reserves sit. That 220,000 you talked about is its operating budget rollover that they didn't spend last year, so it rolls to the next year. Because unlike federal dollars, tax dollars don't go away. They're there. So we can just roll them to the next year if we don't use them.
Got it. And so y'all have about 1.2 months of operating expenses, as I count it, right? And I was a liberal arts major, so I'm not going to sit here and tell you I know the budget better than anybody else. But when I see that, I guess my question to you would be, what do you do now if you are elected to be mayor? What do you do in order to replenish those reserves?
Well, I think some of the reserve you're counting as not there is not spent yet, right? It's
Okay.
just allocated.
Okay.
So reality and actual expenditures may be less. Maybe generally we are less. We're pretty conservative about it. For the next budget cycle, we'll set 3 months, and those hearings all start in June. That we should be able to work through that.
So social media has always got stuff to say, but one of the big questions I thought was a fair one was the old Synovus Bank building that you guys have purchased and moved into. You guys have just moved into the bank for was it it was the January meeting, was it not?
Right.
Yeah, and so
The ribbon
it was
cutting was
purchased.
last week.
That's right. And so you guys purchased and remodeled this building to serve as a city hall. Do you think that, with the 4 years that we've been, kind of expecting this place to get up and running and the size of the building and the amount of other expenses, was this in your opinion, a good use of taxpayer money? Do you feel like you got your money's worth on this one?
First of all, we got a really great deal from the first owner of the building there. And we worked with them to keep the price low. I don't recall exactly, but we have a mortgage that won't ever go up. So it's $10,000 a month, if I recall right,
Okay.
from now for the next 30 years. Well, in 30 years, $10,000 isn't going to be that much money. Thank goodness.
The inflation's going to get us, huh?
But the other part of it, the renovations, we did the renovations with in-house expertise, you might say. Commissioner Hamilton and Carl Scott are both general contractors, so they have all the contacts and the experience to manage the reconstruction or the renovation.
Okay.
And one of the great things we did was we enclosed it used to be a big open atrium with offices all around it. So now we enclosed the second floor completely. So we have 5,000 square feet plus of office space that we can lease out. Now, if you look at that new Okaloosa gas building, that's leasing at about $3 a square foot a month.
Okay. So
now
it's
we're not
$36 square foot a year. Wow. Okay. Got it.
So even if we can't ask what Okaloosa gas is, because obviously that's a new building and it's all hurricane proof and all that, our building, even if we got $2 a square foot, we would pay our mortgage. So it's a zero cost to us. And
Very good.
The other part is the expensive thing was the elevator, and I got money from the state for that.
If somebody comes in and rents space from you, does that become taxable? Is that a thing?
That's right.
Okay. So they would pay like rent plus like a rent tax.
They pay rent and then they pay sales tax or
Got it.
property tax.
Understood. Okay. You brought this up kind of briefly, but I think it's worth touching on. The city of Valparaiso has significantly fewer businesses per capita than a lot of the other cities in our area. But in the past, I mean, I remember people, I think I talked to Tammy about it, and she said there was this, a movie theater, a bowling alley, grocery store, and other stuff like that. As the mayor, how would you work to attract more businesses to the city, or would you want to keep it as is?
Well, so we've talked about this. Part of the issue is it is more bang for your buck if you're a builder. If you build houses, right?
Mm-hmm.
Build a house, you sell it, boom, instant profit. To keep we have widened our commercial zone in Valp, and the old Okaloosa gas buildings are a perfect example, right? They've got all these retail buildings there just waiting for something to happen, whether someone tears it down or whatever. Well, we have this zoning in Valp by ordinance that says it's commercial, but if you don't want to do commercial, you can do residential, and they call it pyramidal zoning.
Okay.
So I think if we want to keep that commercial for real, we have to change our ordinances a little bit and have a different kind of zoning.
Would you be in favor of something like that, where you would change it from pyramidal to strict line zoning?
I would, because we can't rely on property taxes, right? Those are about to decrease significantly. So we do need more businesses to pull in some funding for the city. And you know, everybody I talk to wants a grocery store. Well, I don't know how that's going to happen. That's private enterprise, but still.
Everybody I talk to wants a Target, so.
Yeah, Target. I don't think Valpo is big enough for Target, but.
Yeah. So you were saying, I'm sorry, I cut you off.
So yeah, I mean, that's one of the first things I would like to do is start working on those ordinances and change that.
So you would bring forward motions as the mayor to say like, hey, we need to change this zoning to something that's more
restrictive.
Yeah, I would say more restrictive or more aggressive toward bringing in commercial. Right. Are there any other incentives or anything like that you would put forward for commercial builders or renters or anything like that to attract them to the city?
You know, that gets into the problem of how do you pay for that?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I watch TV like everybody else, and I see like, you know, people lure in Amazon with great deals, but I don't know that we have that kind of extra cash. But yeah, it's possible.
Last thing I'll ask, because I just thought of it, the speed camera on John Sims Parkway. I know that was a big discussion. I believe it was at the February meeting. I could be wrong though. To bring in a speed camera. And I think I went and did the math, and it was some astronomical number because like 98% of people were speeding. Do you think that speed camera is going to happen? And if it does, when do you think it would be installed?
I'm not in favor of speed cameras. I think I would go broke. I have to confess that. Yeah. No, I'm not in favor of speed cameras, especially I just think that's just counter to the American way. I don't know. I don't know a better way to say it. And it's coached as a safety issue, mm-hmm. and it's coached and it's sold as a profit for the city issue, but it's really a private enterprise. And I'm not real thrilled with that idea. Perfect. I think you know, that is a weird street, John Sims Parkway, you know, from Tom's Bayou Bridge to the gate. It goes 35, 45, 35, 20, you know, that's kind of.
The other thing is there's not a whole lot of property that crosses that street, especially no. I don't think there's any residential property, right?
No.
And so
the biggest problem is that, you know, twice a day there's stopped up traffic, you know, going into the school. Twice a day, not quite the same time, there's stopped up traffic going to and from Eglin. The rest of the time, that's when the speeders are really important, because that's when they're barreling through there, is when there's no traffic. Yeah. So.
Well, perfect. Anything else you want the voters at home to know besides the fact that on March the 10th, I believe it is, you guys, next Tuesday, 7 days from now, everybody in the city of Valparaiso will have a chance to go to the polls. I believe your voting precinct is the Greater Peace Baptist Church, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, right on Valparaiso.
That's right. And so if you are a Valparaiso resident, consider voting. And anything you want to say to the voters before we sign off?
I just want to remind everybody, I know how the city works, and I know where to find more money to bring into our city. And I think experience matters.
Perfect. Chris Wasdin, candidate for City of Valparaiso Mayor. Thank you so much